Hello, this is Roland. I want to continue talking about meditation. And in the past two videos of this series, I shared with you some excerpts from Madame Guion's book. Madame Guion was a very nice lady who lived around 1700, late 1600s, early 1700s. She wrote several spiritual classics. My favorite is A Short and Easy Method of Prayer. It's been translated with various titles into English. The best, the most literal translation, maybe not the most poetic, but the most literal, is the one in a book called Spiritual Progress, which was published back in 1851 or 1852, edited by a gentleman named Mr. Metcalf. And you can find it readily online. Okay, and also some people have printed it up in paperback. It's very good. And we're talking about meditation. Madame Guyon is trying to help people find the presence of God. See, we were created for God. We were created to know Him, to worship Him, to love Him, to marvel at His great handiwork. You know, it's amazing. We go to a place like, let's say you go to SeaWorld, or you go to an aquarium, or you go to Disneyland. We go to some big Hollywood movie, the latest big Hollywood movie. And people often, you see them marveling. Wow, isn't this great? Disneyland. Or Disney World. See? And so people marvel at such a thing. Well, just think how much more marvelous the universe is. Everything that God made, from butterflies to mountains, lakes, beautiful flowers, zebras, stars. It's all wonderful. And people. Okay? So He made it all. So what a wonderful adventure to be able to wander through God's great universe and discover many wonderful things. Okay? Well, that's what we were created for. But unfortunately, we fell away from, Adam fell away from God and fell into, he was ambitious. He was selfish. He wanted to do it on his own without God. He wanted to be God. Okay? And you say, well, that's a little bit too much, isn't it? I mean, isn't that over the top? Well, just look around you. See, do you know people who play God? See, who lord it over others and boss them around, and see. But even more so, we all secretly play God when we judge other people. See, and when we want people to respect us, when we want people to admire us and think well of us and see us in a good light. So we put on quite a show. We put on makeup and nice clothes, and we act very nice. How you doing? How's it going? We act so nice because we want other people to think not well of us, you see. And if they don't, then we hate them and condemn them and judge them. So we judge other people. See, so God is a king and a judge. He's worthy of being worshipped, and He has a right to judge. But we don't, but that's what we do. Okay? So we're basically a chip off the old block. That's what we are, a chip off the old block. We're prideful, egotistical, we don't want to admit we're wrong. See, God is never wrong. And that's why we don't want to admit we're wrong. Do you like admitting you're wrong? See? Well, maybe you sheepishly do. See, if somebody points out something wrong that you're doing, usually we don't like it. Some people resent it. Some people resent it bitterly. They do not want to be wrong. Do you know any? See, do you know anybody who never wants to admit that he's wrong or that she's wrong? See? Well, okay, so you got the idea. So this is not good, though. Causes problems. We get in arguments with people. It ruins our marital relationships, relationship with our kids, and it ruins our health. when we're prideful and ambitious and we're struggling and striving and impatient and irritable and judgmental and resentful, and then we become bitter and, see, not good. So Madame Guyon, nice lady, discovered this blessed state of mind. Oh, but in order to play God, you have to live in your imagination, because in reality, see, no matter how hard you try, you have to always see that you're not God. See, you make mistakes, you bump into things, the numbers don't add up, you can't balance your checkbook, your kids hate you, you ask somebody out and they say no, or you go out with them one time and they never call back. Okay, you try to make things happen and it doesn't happen what you wanted to happen. See, so reality, plus you look in the mirror. See, so reality pretty much shows that you're not God. So the only way we can play God, other than lording it over people that are naive or smaller than we are, the only way we can play God is in our mind. So that's where most people spend most of their time, reliving the past and thinking about what somebody said and thinking and rearranging the past to make it come out more to your ego's liking. And we spend time worrying, trying to plan everything out, make everything come out right, so we can see that we're gods and not foolish people that we are and powerless. So we don't like seeing that we're powerless, that we have inadequacies. So in our imagination, we can judge other people and condemn them. In our fantasies, we can be great. We can be a queen or a king. And we can imagine ourselves being great and wonderful. And if not great and wonderful, then we can at least imagine ourselves being innocent and nice. Okay? So we can do all of that in our imagination. So that's where people spend a lot of their time. Okay? With the help of video games and music, entertainment, so on. Well, again, that's not good, because when you're separated from reality, you're not in control of your own life. You become subject to outside forces. And you become like an animal, conditioned to react, because you're cut off from your own inner ground of good. When you're not lost in your thoughts, when you're in reality, and when you realize that there's something greater than you are. See, that's a very fundamental realization that we need to make. I'm going off on a little tangent here, but it's a good tangent, something that you need to hear. So I'm laying groundwork. It's a very fundamental realization to realize that there's something greater than you are. Most people are very prideful. Like I said the other day, the nice title officer at a real estate title company that I knew, she said, sooner or later, we got to realize that we're not the king of the world or the queen of the world. We're not the most important person in the world, but that's the way we act a lot of times, don't we? Well, but you know what facilitates our thinking of ourselves, of our pride? Remember, pride goeth before the fall. See, pride leads to death. Adam was proud. He wanted to be proud. And it ended up leading to his death. Instead of living forever in paradise, he ended up changing, deteriorating, and then dying. That's where pride leads. Okay? Because you're cut off from the fount of love and understanding and wisdom and life energy to move and have your being in a gracious way. You're cut off from that, which is from God. You're cut off from it. If you play God, then you come in conflict with the real God. So it's a very fundamental. See, but what I said, what facilitates our thinking that we're God is other people. They're messing up, and they're being wrong. See, and if they're not wrong, then we make them wrong. See, some people do that. They make other people wrong. Some mothers are that way. They make their kids wrong. They somehow find a way to make the child wrong, see, or her husband wrong. See, maybe her husband is a halfway decent guy, but she finds many things that she doesn't approve of, and then she accuses him of doing wrong things sometimes when he hasn't even done anything wrong. See, we make other people wrong, and if we can't find something, we can make them wrong. See, some mothers spoil the kids. See, do too much for them. Do too much for them. Then the child doesn't develop the skills to do things for himself. And then she blames him. Says, you're lazy. You're good for nothing. Look, you're always messing up. Or, see? But she made him that way. See how that works? Well, the ego, the prideful ego, can only feel great in comparison to someone else. So that's why we're always judging other people or making them wrong if we can get away with it. And what facilitates that is that other people are wrong. For example, her husband. I'm just taking a typical example. Her husband is weak. Okay? He's weak. He's either weak and a failure, or he's ambitious. See? But his ambition is also a weakness because he's cut himself off from the inner ground of wisdom. See, he could have developed the true character that he could have developed. He's cut off from that possibility by his ambition to be prideful, and he needs her support. See, he can't stand on his own, and he can't get support from God because he's in conflict with God, because he wants to play God and be great, be seen as great. So he needs her support. See, so that's what he needs from women. See. So she supports him, then he becomes more ambitious. Or some men become more of a failure, more irresponsible. See? And the more support she gives him, the more prideful he becomes, the more demanding he becomes. See? And so he deteriorates. And a lot of times he may go off to another woman. He needs more support. He needs someone even wronger to make him feel great in comparison. You see what I mean? So he goes off to the bartender for support, or to drugs for support, or to another woman for support, or to his work. See? His work, he can be prideful about his work. So then he becomes married to his work, or married to money. So she loses him to, see, she encouraged him to be ambitious and supported him in it, and then she loses him to money or to work, see? So then she resents him. She resents him for failing her. What she needed from him was for him to find a bond within with his Creator, and to have that manly, and with patience and kindness and long suffering and wisdom. See, to be the knight in shining armor, to be the noble knight, to rescue her. See, her father undoubtedly wasn't there for her. Other men took advantage of her. So she resented her dad and resented other men, and she was hoping that this man might be the knight in shining armor. Well, once he proves that he's not, see, he's a user, then she hates him. Well, some men could find themselves, so they're selfish. See, marriage is a framework within which to learn to be unselfish, to work out the old Adam and Eve thing, and to learn to be unselfish. He in his way, she in her way. See, she's wrong in her way, and he's wrong in his way. But together, see, they could learn to be unselfish, or one of them can. If both did, then it would be a paradise on earth. But if one does, well, at least that's good. It's good for the kids, and at least that person can save their own soul. Okay, so, you see, so what happens is then she resents him, but then it becomes a dysfunctional relationship. She needs him to judge, see, and because she's guilty for hating him and judging him, she does for him, but she's loving out of guilt, loving out of resentment and judgment. See, she judges him and then she feels guilty and then she's nice. And then she judges him again, especially if he takes advantage. So it's just a squirrel cage of, see. of two selfish people going downhill. He in his way, and she in her way. So what is needed then is for a person to see that there is something greater than themselves. And that can happen by an encounter with conscience. Someone who wakes you up to conscience, wakes you up to what you know in your heart is right. Okay? And then in that light, you see your own wrong. And you see that you're seeing it in the light, which in a light which does not lie. The light does not lie. See? And you see that you're wrong, and you can't duck it, and you can't deny it, and you just see it. And it's humbling. Humbling to the ego, even humiliating. It's painful. See? But it's a good pain. It's like going to the dentist to have a tooth pulled. It hurts, but you're glad to get the tooth pulled, then you'll be better. And then you realize that there is God and that you're not God. What does it say in the Bible? It says, be still and know that I'm God. That's what God says. He says, be still and know that I'm God. And if you know that God exists, and you know that He is aware of you, and He shines His light, and in His light you see that you're wrong, you're resentful, judgmental, so on, phony, whatever you are, lying, deceiving, manipulative, see, ruining other people's lives and so on. You see that, selfish. Then you see it in His light, and it's painful to see. But you also see He doesn't hate you. See, maybe you hate Him, you've hated Him, but He doesn't hate you back. His light quietly shines upon you, and you see the truth about yourself. And now you know there's something greater than you are. See? Then, well, that can be the beginning. So now let's get back to meditation. So now you see what's needed. You need a little bit of humbling. You need to get out of thinking, out of daydreaming, out of fantasy, okay, into reality, where God is. You need to refine your center of being, from which you could live and move and have your being and flow. See, now you flow from anger. You have to build up an angry energy, or impatience, or tension, or nervousness, or excitement, or emotion of some kind to move you. See, just like an animal. But you need to find a way where you can move without having to have these externally triggered emotions. It's called grace. Okay? Then you could move delicately. You could move almost effortlessly through life. Okay? Doing good, and the bad wouldn't get in, only good would come out. Okay? So that's what the meditation is for. So now Madame Guyon, who found this objective state closer to God, okay, then she tells people about how to reintroduce this state, or how to extend it, or how to be aware that it's happening. Okay? And so she talks about meditation and then contemplation. In the last two videos I talked about meditation. I call mine meditation, although it's actually meditation and contemplation. But she just uses the old terminology, which is fine. So she says there's meditative reading, which she says is sitting quietly with a good book, like maybe you get one of my books, and just read a little bit, just a little bit, maybe a line or two, until you see something, realize something. And then you can put the book away, and then what you realize, what you see, what you've discovered, what you wordlessly have seen, then you have that with you as you go about your activities during the day, and then you see it again and again, each time more deeply, okay? And then she said you can also just sit quietly, and then wait until you feel that you are in a meditative state, in an objective state, that you're a little closer to God's light, not lost in your thoughts. And then you could read a little something. But then she goes on to talk about contemplation, which she says is which is the highest of all. Okay, so I want to quickly relate it to what I say and what I teach, what I show you with my meditation and with my books. I basically say that she's right. You want to be closer to God. You want to be in God's life, where you have access to wisdom, to common sense, to understanding, okay, and also access to another type of energy that doesn't depend on being angry, see, or nervous or tense. And so I say that the little meditation that I have is very helpful because it shows you how to become still, how to sit still, literally sit still. Go in a room and sit in a chair and become still, become aware of your hands, your hand or your hands. Close your eyes and look at the inside of your eyelids. See the little sparkly light or little patterns of light, little pixels of light on the inside of your eyelids. And now you're in the present, and you're not lost in fantasy. You're not lost in daydreams. And that brings you to reality. Okay? And you're in contact with God's light. Okay? The little pixels of light that you see on the inside of your eyelids when you sit quietly. It's actually, you're seeing spiritual light. Okay? And then, as you are aware of your hands feel a little bit tingly. Your hand feels a little tingly, or your hands feel a little tingly. Then you can extend it. You become aware of your feet. Your feet feel tingly and warm and tingly, or even your whole body. A little bit warm and tingly. Now you've extended the light through your body, through your being. And in a sense, you download a little something, a little heavenly pixel, stardust. And then it becomes thought. See, later it will become thought, and it will become good behavior, and it changes you. See, for the better. So, you see, most people put the horse before the cart. First, they want to have peace, they want to feel good. See, they don't want to be tense, and they want to have knowledge of how to feel better and be better. And you see, they want that, and so then they study and try to ingest books and all different things to find that. Whereas the more properly oriented person, or more sincere person, or the one that God is helping a little bit, okay, does the first things first. First, sit quietly and come in contact with the inner good from God, and then all other things will be added unto you. Remember, Christ said, seek first the kingdom of God in His right way, and all other things will be added unto you. Well, if you seek first the kingdom of God, then you seek first to sit quietly, get out of your egotistical and prideful thoughts, where in your thoughts you're great and glorious and a hero, and you condemn other people. You stand back from that. You get into the present where God is and quietly sit. Okay? Well, okay. And then you go out in the world, and you, with the idea of you want to, what principles you discover in this meditative state, you want to be able to apply them in life. So now you go about your daily activities, but having downloaded a little something, well, then you'll start to have realizations. You'll start to see things and understand things, okay? And you'll also see your own little mistakes and so on, but you won't react. You'll stop reacting to what you see. You'll just see it, but without reacting, without becoming upset or resentful over it. Well, I never did get to, but that's basically contemplation. What I just described, that's contemplation. So that's what I do in the morning. I get started with that. Then I go to Starbucks. Then I sit down with a cup of tea or coffee and a good book, read a little something, okay, until I something is highlighted for me, I see a phrase or a sentence. Oh, okay. Then I can do a little writing based on what I had seen, or just sit quietly. Then I have that. Okay. And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay. I have several meditations actually. The first meditation that I made was basically it's a 4-part meditation. It's very nice. If you get it online, I think it's $10. A suggested donation of $10. You get it. You download it. You get 2 ebooks, Becoming a Friend of God, and also brief introduction to stress management. And you also get a little booklet. You get those, and I think you even get ebook. I think I even include the Guide to True Peace Revisited as an ebook. So you get all of that. So that would be good. Okay. But if you want to try the free version, that's fine too. The free version, which I call the Easy Meditation, or I call it the Free Meditation. Okay. And it's like 6 or 7 minutes long, and it'll get you started. Okay. So, I hope you enjoyed today's little talk, and I'll see you when I make my next video lecture, Lord willing, of course.